Hey everyone, we're here at American Musical Supply with the Korg Volca NuBass, which is a new analog bass synth from Korg, which is based around a tube. For the first time, a Korg Nutube, which is a technology that allows vacuum tubes, triode tubes, to be shrunk down to a size that fits alongside PCB components on modern synthesizers, and those tubes are used to give it a unique bass synth sound. It starts with a VTO, or vacuum tube oscillator, which generates a saw or square wave with an octave in either direction, as well as a sub-oscillator, which actually has a tube saturator built in, so you can add really nice low-end punch to your sound. With the saturation, and then it runs into a transistor ladder filter, which is a filter design that's been used on countless synths over the years to give it awesome squelch and really nice bounce, especially when you use some envelope generator. On the end of the signal, there's a drive control and a tone control, so you can bring up some post-filter drive to your signal. Attenuate frequencies that you don't want using the tone control. All these controls allow you to really dial in your sound so that you can get the perfect bouncy acid bass line out of your Volca NuBass. Creating sounds from scratch on Volca NuBass is super easy, and there are sequencer features like transpose, accent, and slides, which allow you to spice up your sequences and add an extra performable dimension. So let's go into step record by pressing Function and the record button and record a quick sequence, and then let's just dial in our sound. Sounds pretty good so far, but let's spice it up by using the Randomize function on the accents, slides, and transpose. You access this by pressing Function and then Transpose. Now you can go into Transpose and see that random transposes, steps up an octave, have been added. I can add in another couple here and here. And then I can randomize the accents, and then check out accents. And the level of the accent is controlled by this knob. So let's put in a couple accents here and there. And then next, we have no slides so far, and we can randomize that, but we can also put in slides manually by pressing the step buttons that we want to slide. Now we want to add in some filter motion. Right now I have no envelope generator intensity going to the filter. If I turn this knob up, we can hear that if I then bring the cutoff frequency down. So that's starting to sound like a really nice bouncy acid bass line. But what if we bring in some resonance in the filter? That's starting to sound nice and snappy, but let's bring in some drive to compensate for the low end that we lost when we turned up the resonance. Now let's beef up our low end by bringing in the sub-oscillator. Now I want want to spice up that sequence by adding a little bit of motion. And that's automation of a single or multiple parameters on the Volca NuBass over time, over the course of the sequence. And we enter that by pressing function and turning on motion using the 10th step button. Now, when we press record and play at the same time, that motion is then recorded. If we want to save that entire sequence that we've just created, we go function and write, which is the secondary function of the memory button. Then we choose a slot, and now we've saved that pattern. So even if we turn off the Volca NuBass, we can recall that and bring it back, even with the motion sequencing that we recorded. And of course, no synth would be complete without its LFO, and Volca NuBass is especially powerful because it can modulate pitch, amp, or cutoff, or any combination of the three of those simultaneously. To select an LFO target or multiple LFO targets, hold function and use buttons 3, 4, and 5. And you can select multiple different combinations, but right now I'm just going to be targeting cutoff to show you guys. Now we can turn up the intensity of that LFO modulation of the cutoff by holding function and using the envelope generator intensity, because its secondary function is the LFO intensity. Now we want to turn up the speed of the LFO by holding function and changing the LFO rate, which is the secondary function of the attack knob. And we can also change the wave shape of the LFO by holding function and pressing the second step button. So let's record a little bit of motion and then save that. So that's a little bit of programming on Volca NuBass. Hold function and press right, select a blinking step button to save, and now we've created our sequence and we can recall them from the save function on Volca NuBass. As with all the other Korg Volcas, you have analog tempo sync in and out, so you can connect to Eurorack or modular or other Volcas, for example, and then of course a MIDI in over 5-pin. If you're interested in finding out more about Volca NuBass, any of the Korg Volcas, or any Korg synthesizers, check them out on AmericanMusical.com. Thanks so much for watching.